A 2024 study investigating blue zones has finally figured out the key to an extremely long life: lying. Blue zones are places in the world where people are reported to live extraordinarily long lives. They were first described in 1999 when researchers surveyed elderly people in Sardinia, Italy. And they reported that there were way more centenarians, or people over the age of 100 in the highlands, than in most places in the world. And then they did a series of follow-up studies in collaboration with author Dan Buettner. Over time, they expanded the number of blue zones to roughly these places here. Then old Dan even trademarked the term blue zones and started a marketing website. Him and his team started trying to explain what people in these places do that extends their lifespan so much compared to other places in the world. And he wrote somewhere around 7 books on the topic, many of them New York Times bestsellers. He even did a TED Talk titled How to Live to Be 100 Plus. And he described 9 lifestyle and diet habits that help people reach over the age of 100. Well, and I guess there's a Netflix documentary now too. According to them, the secret to a long life is moving naturally, having the right outlook, eating wisely, and connecting with people. That includes drinking a bit of wine after 5 o'clock, and eating plant-based diets, and being religious. But according to this new study, the actual keys to living an extra long life are poor record keeping, clerical errors, and pension fraud. The author of the paper and a previous paper on the subject is Dr. Saul Newman. He works at the Oxford Institute of Population Aging and just took blue zones to task. He did an analysis of every 100-year-old in the world that's been reported to the UN since 1950. He also did a great interview with my TikTok mutual, Dr. Karen, and I highly suggest it. There are 3 things that do seem to predict an area to have a higher than average number of centenarians. And those are high poverty, lack of birth records, and fewer than average 90-year-olds. High poverty provides a pretty good incentive for things like pension fraud. And in a lot of cases, governments just haven't really cared to have good record keeping for poor people. In Greece, he found that at least 72% of people who were above 100 years old were pension fraud cases. They were alive on paper, but they were actually in the dirt. He told Dr. Karen, all you have to do is not register a death and they'll keep on living. And apparently there's a new blue zone in Singapore, but Singapore didn't even have birth certificates until 1938. So how can the Blue Zone Company confidently say that comparative buttloads of people make it past the age of 100 when the records don't even go back that far? Seems kind of fishy. There's another blue zone in Costa Rica, but according to the census, almost half of the 100-plus-year-olds in the country are making up their age. And every single blue zone has statistical issues. Dr. Newman told Dr. Karen, I compared it to the captain of the Titanic being given 9 attempts and running into the iceberg every time. On top of all that, in 2020, the Blue Zone Company was acquired by the Seventh-day Adventist Healthcare System, Adventist Health. And Adventist Health was possibly founded by Dr. Oz, but I couldn't confirm that. As far as what you can do to actually achieve old age, this is what he said. You know, we do know what the secret to longevity is. I'm gonna blow your mind here. Ready? Don't drink, don't smoke, do some exercise. Dr. Karen said, and money. And he came back with, be born rich, but that's the one I can't do much about. Dr. Saul Newman won this year's Ig Nobel Demography Prize for this work, and I think it's really cool, and also he just seems like a cool guy.